In today's episode, we are going to talk about the in-betweensies. This is that awkward moment where you are kind of worried, but your brain tries to tell you that you are overreacting or worried about nothing, or maybe you'll make it worse. We have all been there, so let's talk about it. Welcome to the Suicide Prevention Lady podcast, where we make intervention easy. I'm your host, Dr. Ricky Turner, and I am a suicide intervention expert. Please take note, I am the thinky kind of doctor and not a medical professional. So please do not take anything in this podcast as medical advice. So I don't know about you, but I have a deep-rooted fear of looking stupid. And for all of those of you who are out there who have seen me looking stupid and are thinking about that moment now, mind your business. Happens to the best of us, okay? So when I talk to people and they're telling me what their fears are, why they didn't act at some point, or why they know that they wouldn't in the future, it typically boils down to three things. And I would love to hear from you if your fear is not listed on here, okay? But the first is, I'll make it worse. The second is, I'll look stupid. Like maybe I'm wrong or I'm making something out of nothing and then I'm going to look stupid. Or the third is, I don't know what to do. I'm not worried about looking stupid or making it worse, but I know I don't know what to do, so I'm not going to do anything. And I want to put it out there that all three of these fears are absolutely valid. They are human reactions to a scary phenomenon. And that's okay. It's okay that you have these fears. There's a lot of shame when it comes to this. And I have been somebody who has put that shame out there as well. I will be the first to tell you. Many of you probably remember hearing my story of how I really got into suicide prevention and the semester where we had 16 suicide attempts or deaths totaled, and it was just mind-boggling. And then when I found out that faculty were doing nothing, I brought the shame on hard, very hard. I was indignant with rage about that, but I did soften my heart on that. And now it's more of a, okay, I have to recognize that I live this and breathe this every day, and I'm passionate about it. It is like my life's purpose. It's not everybody's, but they still want to do good. And so that's what this episode is about. We are going to break this down. So let's start with the first one. I'll make it worse. I have already made a podcast episode on this. You can go back and listen to that if you want to. But the quick and dirty version of how this is a myth is the only way that you are going to make it worse is either not doing anything at all, so that whoever this person is in your life who is having these thoughts, they have these other beliefs in their head at the same time because their brain is lying to them. And by doing nothing, it is reinforcing to them that nobody cares about them or the world would be better off without them or whatever. It's just exacerbating what they already believe by just not doing anything. Okay. The other way that you can make it worse is if you suspect that they have something going on and that they are considering ending their life, and you hop in with the, I have never heard a better idea. That chef's kiss. I think you should do that. Do you need help? That's a terrible way to react. Don't do that. That will be bad. Okay. But almost anything else you do, it's showing love to another person. And even if you're wrong, or even if it's not really the right tactic with them, it's not going to make it worse. So many people believe if I say, hey, I'm worried about you, are you thinking of hurting yourself? Are you thinking of suicide? That all of a sudden they're going to be like, you know, I was just going to wash the car and pay some bills today, but that's not a bad idea. I think I will end my life. That's just not how the brain works. It's not how it goes. I liken this to the idea that I can't make you eat your least favorite food, like a food that you won't eat. You'd rather go hungry. Think of that food. It's grapefruit for me. I think I've talked about it before. Don't offer me a grapefruit. I don't want it. Okay. But if you do offer me a grapefruit, I'm going to say, no, thanks. I'm not going to suddenly be like, I have tried that every way to Sunday, but not this way. I guess I will give that a shot. That's not how I'm going to work. I already know I don't like it. Brussels sprouts will divide the nation. Okay. People love it or hate it. Cilantro, you love it or you hate it. It's the same idea here, right? I know it's not a one-to-one, but it's the same idea here. If you are thinking about suicide and somebody asks you, are you thinking about suicide? The answer is just a yes or a no. But it's not like I wasn't thinking about it. And then all of a sudden it's like, well, I don't know. Let me put that on my agenda. That's just not how it works. Okay. So you're not going to make it worse. We're going to avoid the two major things. We are going to do something. We have lots of options on what we can do, and we're not going to tell them it's a great idea. Other than that, we're going to take some action. Okay. So the next fear is I'll look stupid, because what if you're wrong? What if this is just their personality? What if they're just going through kind of a depressive episode, but they're not suicidal at all? What if you have misinterpreted the entire situation? They are as happy as they've ever been in their life. They have no worries. They are stress-free. And you ask them if they are thinking of hurting themselves. What does happen then? What is the worst that can happen? Okay. You may look stupid. I'm going to disagree with you there. You have your reasons. Is it a gut reaction? Is it you're picking up on the vibe of somebody? Everything is energy. I don't know. Maybe you're picking up on something. Here's what we're going to do. If you're worried that you're going to look stupid, number one, you don't actually have to say the word suicide. You can just check in on somebody. Just text them and say, hey, I've been thinking about you. How are you doing? Maybe we go on a walk and talk. Maybe we do some activity together where you can kind of open up and it kind of breaks down the barriers. It's a little play therapy. But you can just check in on them. You can just let them know. You can just say, hey, I've been thinking about you and I wanted you to know I'm so glad you're in my life. Just something, whatever fits within your relationship, whatever would be okay. But the worst thing that happens in that situation is somebody feels loved and seen. That's it. End of story. Telling more people that we love them and appreciate them and are glad they're in our lives is wonderful and will only bring wonderful to the universe. That is a high impact energy you are putting out into the world. We are raising the vibrations, if you will. So that's not going to make you look stupid. Okay. So start there. Now, I don't know about you, but what will break me out of this mode of thinking quicker than anything is, would I rather feel stupid now or heartbroken later? Because if I don't ask, and if I don't insert myself in some way, if I don't let them know, intervene in whatever way that we can, but if I do nothing, and then turns out I was right, and turns out they were going through something, and I did nothing, and now I'm headed to their funeral, that's not something I can take back. I can recover from looking stupid. So I'm not going to say you're not going to look stupid, because I honestly don't know. I don't know the situation. I can't definitively say that, but I can definitively say I will take that every single day rather than let it go and then maybe lose somebody that I love. So I hope that resonates with you on that. I will look stupid every day of the week if it saves somebody's life. Happy to do it. Call me the Joker. Great. Okay. Lastly is the I don't know what to do. Now, I will do an in-depth episode about this at a later date, but I don't know what to do. Like, I get paralyzed, the fear takes over, and I just don't know what to do. Okay. There are 4 different things that you can do at any given time. Just assess the situation and pick the one that fits the best, because every situation is different. And I can't say, well, first you do this, and second you do this, and third you do this, because I don't know what the situation you're in is. So the first thing, and this is an acronym, it's EASE. That's why we want to intervene with EASE. It's an acronym. So the first E is to express care to them. This is where you can say anything to them. You can say, I love you. You can say, hey, I'm thinking about you. You can say, there's a lady on a podcast. She is crazy, but she told me to reach out to somebody that I like, and you're it. Don't make it weird. I don't care. That's fine. Use me. But whatever you do, you're expressing care to an individual. You are letting them know you see them as a person. They are loved. You're happy they're in your life. Your life is better with them in it. Okay. However that looks to you, great. Okay. So that is E, the first E, and that is express care. The second one is A, ask the question. Ask them directly. Okay. This is another option. It's not for everybody. I understand this. Now, listen, I will choose the direct route every single time. I really very rarely have a non-direct button. It's just the flavor that this package comes in. Okay. But if you're comfortable with it, asking them directly and saying, hey, friend, I am worried about you. Are you thinking of suicide? Are you considering suicide? Are you considering hurting yourself? Some flavor of that. And then allowing them to answer. They have the opportunity to lie to you. I'm not going to sugarcoat it and say that they aren't. Okay. But even asking them the question is such a powerful suicide prevention method because it lets them know, hey, I see you. I notice something is different. I love you enough to have this conversation. The power of just asking the question, even if they don't give you an honest answer. Now, a lot of people will hold on to this and they'll be like, well, they're not going to actually tell me. Or, and I just talked about this in a different episode a couple of weeks back, or they'll say something like, oh, well, if they really wanted to, they wouldn't actually tell me anyway. No, stop that now. And they will be honest with you a lot more than you give them credit for. Okay. Now, things you want to watch out for here is number one, what if they ask you, well, if I tell you, do you promise not to tell anybody? We are not making that promise. Okay. It's so tempting because we're like, well, they're not going to tell me otherwise. Have you ever met anybody embarrassed that they were not thinking about killing themselves? No? Then you have your answer. So I would never make that promise. Never, never, never. I will always be honest with them because while I want to save lives, I don't want to do it deceptively. So if somebody I love is going through this and they ask me that, my answer is going to be something very similar to, I appreciate you asking me that question. I understand where you are coming from. My sole priority is keeping you safe and healthy. If I make that promise to you, I may not be able to help keep you safe and healthy. So while I cannot promise that I will keep this to myself, what I can promise you is that I will tell you every step of the way if I am going to tell somebody. I will be there with you every step of the way. If we need to go to the hospital or if we need to go somewhere, we need to talk to somebody, and you want me there, I am happy to be there for you. And I can promise you that I love you and I want you in my life. But I cannot promise that I will keep the secret. They may appreciate that. Most people really respond well to that. And they're like, I appreciate that. And they'll go on and continue talking. Some will not. And that's when you're like, who would you feel comfortable talking to right now? Maybe we can get a medical professional. Maybe we can get a therapist. Maybe we can get a pastor or somebody like that. Whoever it is in their life that they trust and would open up to. Great. Then let's get them there. So that's A, ask. The next one is S, which is show up. Now, this is a pet peeve of mine when somebody is going through something hard. Maybe they had an unexpected surgery. Maybe they had a baby. Maybe they had a death in the family. Maybe they are having some sort of medical issue. I don't know. They're going through it. They're going through something hard. And you see, especially like the posts on Facebook and stuff, if you need anything, I'm here for you. If you need anything, I'm here for you. You just let me know if you need anything. And I think most people mean it. And if you have ever been in a deep depression or in a low place mental health wise, you know it is hard to brush your teeth sometimes, let alone to reach out to somebody and ask for help, right? And not even just asking for help like, hey, I need somebody to talk to, but reaching out for help and like, hey, the dishes are piling up and I've got bugs now. Or I don't know if I have any clean laundry or whatever. We haven't been grocery shopping. I don't have anything for dinner. Like all of these things, you don't know how hard it is to ask for those as well. So when I say show up for people, what I mean is it's not I'm here for you here. I'm there for you. I'm going to where you are. I will send you DoorDash. I will bring by supplies for you. I will show up and say, hey, let's hang out. I will take you to do your favorite thing. We will go out to eat, whatever, but I am going to be there with you in person if possible. If not, the miracle of FaceTime or Zoom or Teams or texting or phone calls. There's so many different ways that we can connect with people. But what you want to do is actually show up for them. If you have ever been through something, you have 1,000 people saying, if you need anything, holler. If you need anything, let me know. And then you have those precious few who just show up. And man, those people, they show up and they show out. They just deliver the food. They come to you and they say, you go take a nap. I'll take care of the baby. They start the laundry, or they offer to take your stuff to a laundry service, or they send you money, or they send you DoorDash or gift cards or whatever. And I'll make it simpler because you get decision fatigue. And when you can't you're really in this low point where you don't know if you want to live anymore, even choosing what's for dinner is hard. So you don't say, hey, I'm coming with dinner. You say, hey, I'm going to bring you guys dinner tonight. I'm between Chick-fil-A and Taco Bell. Which one would you prefer? So make it as simple as possible too. So if you're asking them to go do something, pick things that you know they enjoy doing and say, hey, I'd like to pick you up tomorrow sometime. When is a good time? And would you rather go to Top Golf or would you rather go for a walk in the park? Give things. If it was my best friend, we have play dates, and I would say, hey, Michelle, would you like tomorrow to go to Costco for a play date? Or do you want to go walk at the park? And then, she can choose that. Or if she doesn't want to, she can say, I really don't want to right now. And then we can have a discussion about how else can I show up for you right now? So S is show up. The final E is entrust someone else. This is when, for whatever reason, and there can be so many, we don't feel comfortable doing the expressing care, asking directly, or showing up for whatever reason. Maybe we overheard something and we don't even really know the person. Maybe it's somebody that we don't have a great relationship with, but we're still worried about them. I can't possibly give you every reason why you couldn't do something personally, but I know I've experienced a lot of them. So what I want you to do here is you entrust someone else. You tag somebody else in. Now that can be a therapist or a pastor or a parent or a significant other or a medical professional or whatever, mutual friend, whoever you feel is better equipped to handle the situation. But you want to let them know, here's what I've observed. Here's what I'm worried about. Can you find out something? This is also, if it's something that you're not really comfortable with, you can mix and match and you can say, hey, maybe we have an emergent situation on our hands. Maybe they're seriously considering it right now. So you can say, I will go with you to the hospital, to the doctor, to the counselor. I will sit with you here while we call the suicide hotline, if that's what makes you feel better. Whatever way, it's letting somebody else come in and take the pressure off of you. So you're not doing nothing. Maybe your personality you've got anxiety and you just cannot figure this out. And that's okay. What's not okay is to do nothing. So at least here you can let somebody else know, like, hey, if you're on a college campus, I guarantee you on your college campus, there is some sort of anonymous reporting feature that you can anonymously report and say, hey, this is the person I am worried about. And that's going to go to a whole team who is dedicated to working with students who are in crisis. Okay. So look around your organization or your situation and see, okay, well, who else could I tag in here? And if you need help thinking about that, drop me a line. I'm happy to help you think through that. So if you don't know what to do, you've got 4 options that you can pick from. You don't have to go in order. You can pick one. You can do all 4. It doesn't matter. Consider it the Sonic menu, if you will, and you're just looking at it and picking what you want, okay? So if you have ever felt like you'll make it worse or you'll look stupid or you don't know what to do, I really hope that this episode has illuminated a path forward for you, that you can do something next time. And I don't want you to beat yourself up if you've missed it in the past. Go listen to last week's episode. That's fine. We just can do better in the future. And that's all we can ask anybody to do, is constant improvement, correct? So if you're listening on Spotify, I'd love for you to take the poll indicating what is your biggest fear for you to intervene when you have the in-betweensies. For others, if you're not on Spotify, just leave a comment with yours if you don't mind. I'd like to see all of these. It helps us to know that we aren't alone in our irrational fears. It brings us kind of closer together, creates a little bit of a community, and it helps us help each other out. And of course, if you haven't liked and subscribed to the podcast, please do. That way you can stay up to date for all future episodes. Now, it is likely that during this episode, someone popped into your head that you have had the in-betweensies about. My challenge for you today is to reach out to them in a way that feels right to you and also makes them feel loved and cared for. If you need help with that, email or comment, and I will see if I can help you out to talk about that. I'm so excited about the next episode where I interview a dear friend of mine, Dr. Arish Asadi, about masculinity and mental health. We talk about unique barriers for men, myths about mental health, and ways we can break down those barriers to help the men in our lives take care of their mental health. You do not want to miss next week's episode, where we can continue to learn how to intervene with ease.